Right, well, we are live. I've just had a bit of a more of a nightmare trying to get going again. So hopefully we are live now. We'll see what happens. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, we are live. I can see Richard Vobes is out there, as is Ian Beddoes, all saying I'm late. Technical problems again, but I can see you're all coming in thick and fast. How is everyone? Hope you're all well. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. You can all hear me. Just going to have a quick swig of this. Oh, yeah. Phone lines are open, 07307 135 174. If you want to chat about your gardening exploits and your gardening goodies or anything like that, the phone line is open and we are ready to rock and roll. So what have I been up to this week in the garden? Well, I've had a week off work, so I have been busy building a brand new shed. I say building, I've started to build it. We've had what have I had to do? I've set the floor in place, built the floor, been building the stud work for the walls. Lee came down and gave me a hand. All I've got to do now is clad it up and we are ready to go. Added to that, yesterday I went to a garden show, the first garden show I've been to all year, except for Seedy Sunday back in February. Very, very glad to have visited a garden show, although I've got my own opinions on that, which I might discuss a bit later on. However, I was there more to support these shows, and we've got to hope that they come back next year. We really have got to hope that. What am I up to today? What about today? Well, today a day at home, and what did I do? Sorted out the quails, got those out in a new cage outside. Sorted out my greenhouse as well. Cleared out a compost bin I have in there. Filled it up all with fresh compost, so that's good to go. And moved inside to that greenhouse some of my precious plants. My banana plant and my peach tree has gone in there. We have a caller.
This is Richard Vobes calling from Worthing in West Sussex by the sea.
Oh, I know the place very, very well.
I thought I'd call in early because I don't know how long I shall be watching, but I wanted to announce with great, whatever one can be great at, with great aplomb, that I have done some weeding this week.
Wow.
In fact, yesterday.
Wow.
Yesterday. I know, when you talk about weeding so frequently, and I thought, oh, poor sap, I never have to do any weeding because I don't really have much of a garden. And then, lo and behold, I go away for a week on a canal boat. We have the worst amount of rain on the 3rd of October than anyone's had, and my garden decided, right, he's away, let's shove up a whole load of unwanted weeds, so the garden looked terrible.
It happens. That's why I try not to go away nowadays.
Yeah, I think they know, don't they? They just know.
They do. They swear they do. Especially down on the allotment, the couch grass. I mean, I haven't been down there all week, but I know when I go down there tomorrow, there'll be weeds everywhere.
Well, you gave me a very, well, it must have been over a year ago now, or even longer, a very nice piece of rosemary, I think it is.
Yes.
And it came in a pot with a little bit of your famous couch grass, which was very kind of you.
You're welcome.
And I planted it. I planted it in my front garden, and because the garden had I suppose it's a plastic. It's some sort of
membrane.
Material.
Membrane.
Yes, it's some sort of membrane. Because originally I put little stones over there, so it was a sort of gravelly garden.
Yeah.
And I cut a hole in that membrane to put the rosemary in. So the couch grass actually hasn't managed, although it's got thicker and it sort of sprouts in one place, but it hasn't spread. But what has spread is in numerous other grasses, which presumably do not have very long roots because they've not penetrated the membrane, but whatever soil has accrued on the top of it since.
Yes.
And not only on my garden, because there's no wall at the front of my house at the moment, it started to spill out onto the pavement and through the cracks. So if I left it any longer, people would have to mow the pavement to get across. Yeah. I mean, that happens, unfortunately. The weeds growth between the rocks and everything. So, but how are they going to mow the pavement? Well, luckily I went out there and I donned. Well, I didn't put any gloves on. I just used my bare hands and pulled them up. But so I should have taken a photograph because you're not going to be able to identify it, but you might be. There was a prickly weed that looked a bit like a cactus or what's the other one that you go into? Like a thorny little leafy thing. But I think instead of stinging in the way by piercing you with the little prickles that it has, it seemed to leave a deposit, some sort of poison irritant on the skin. So I don't know what that was.
Probably a thistle.
Oh, some part of the thistle family.
Yes, I know the thistle milk can be a bit irritating to certain people.
Yeah, I mean, it did go eventually, obviously, but it was for a while. Round the wrists where I'd been pulling the sodding stuff up, it started to... I noticed after I'd finished, you're cleaning your hands and you're going, cool, that stings.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. That's the joys of gardening. That's why you should have a good pair of gloves, but even I don't wear them.
Clearly I need to buy some.
Yeah.
I didn't have any marigolds.
Yeah. Well, marigolds are pretty good.
No, I'm sure. But anyway, I can now say that I have green, although they were really actually quite brown, fingers, and the fingernails haven't recovered from all the dirt that has accrued underneath them. But I now feel I'm a member of your club.
You are a fully fledged member. All you got to do now is pay the fees. So the weeding. So here's a question for you.
Okay, go for it. As we get towards winter, and it gets colder, I know that from looking after my father's lawn that I haven't had to mow the lawn so much during the winter, and then you sort of almost stop. Do weeds stop growing during the winter period?
Some do and some don't. It does depend on the weed and various other factors. But basically, when the sunlight drops and the temperature gets colder, they either grow less or they may not germinate and they might die off.
Ah, right. Oh, okay. There we go.
In the same way that trees may continue growing throughout the garden throughout the winter, or they may drop their leaves or whatever.
Yes. But they don't get a big spurt on because there's less light.
Yes, less light and less warmth.
Yes, so that's I suppose that's encouraging then from your perspective, having an allotment where weeds might penetrate.
Yes, that's why I like the winter time.
Yeah. Well, that was really it. I thought I'd kick you off with a good weed story.
Oh, we all like a good weed story. It's something we all do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, being next to the road, of course, I had to, with the trowel, very carefully remove some dog deposits, which I cannot say is where the dog weed, but left something solid and brown, and I had to get rid of those. Yes. But the rest were organic weeds that had grown naturally.
Excellent. Well, that's what we like to hear. And, of course, you can throw all those weeds in your compost bin.
I did.
Yes, of course you did.
Of course, which is now gurgling away happily, providing the house with warmth and underfloor heating.
Well, you are off to a good start then.
Have a good show, Richard. Lovely to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Cheers, Richard.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Richard Vobes from Worthing, otherwise known as the Bald Explorer. Let's have a quick look at the comments coming through. So Mike Stevens is out there. Good evening to you. Turbo stream. So here you are, a few on the original live stream. I had trouble getting going. It said it wasn't connecting to YouTube, so I closed it down and started again. That's probably where the issue was. Apologies for that. Ernie the Milkman. Hi Richard, I trust you're well on this grey day. I'm very well, thank you. And I've got a video coming back that you sent me coming up in just a moment. And Turbo Stream, what the Vobes is weeding, core blimey, absolutely. And Anna Jones, hello to you, hello gardeners. So that's on YouTube. Over on Facebook, lots of activity going on there. Richard Vobes saying good evening, how's it going? Ian Beddoes, you're late. Stuart Jackson, evening Jackson, evening Richard, hope you are well. Good evening to you. Ed Loud, Eve Goodnings, good evening to you. Good evening to Ian Suggett. Busy boy today trying to catch up. I think that's what Stuart Jackson is saying. I think actually this weekend has been one full of trying to catch up. Lots and lots going on in the garden, actually, got to say. And I'm looking forward to getting this winter through and through. Charlotte Gleeson, hello to you. Isaac Brown, hello to you. Julian Hartley Neal, good evening to you. Stuart Jackson, should I get my Cape gooseberries into the greenhouse or will they be okay outside? Right, mine are outside and they'll be absolutely fine. Cape gooseberries, otherwise known as Facilis, absolutely delicious. I've got to say, absolutely full of vitamin C. So they will go outside they are outside in my garden. They will die back around December time when the plant dies back, but they will be full of fruit and those fruits will start to turn like a brown on the outside. They're a bit of what's the way to describe it? There's like a sheath around the actual fruit. When that sheath turns brown, that's the time to pick your Cape gooseberries, bring them in. They store really well, but more importantly, they taste absolutely delicious. In fact, I go far as to say that Cape gooseberries are my wife's favourite fruit that I grow. Mr. Vobes, to stop mud under your nails, put some soap under them before you start gardening. Oh, that's a good tip. Never heard of that one before. And Pauline King, hello to you. So we find out, of course, what everyone's been up to at the beginning. And Turbo Stream has been scarifying his lawn today, listening to the Veg Grow podcast as he went. Scarifying the lawn, something I personally have never done and don't ever want to do. Or not that I don't ever want to do, so I'm not interested in the lawn. But I know scarifying can be a very hard job to do. Now, I mentioned Ernie earlier and his video, and I thought I'll show that. I might have to turn the volume down as we start, but let's just...
Hi Richard, as your last two programs spoke about manure, here are some in a neighbouring field. We're hoping to speak to the farmer if we can get them. They do look delicious for our plot. So stay tuned and see if we get lucky. Interestingly, that they've done them all along our fence and not in the neighbouring field beyond. I wonder why. There you go. Bye.
Well, I never thought I'd be showing a video about cow poo, to say the least. But I thought that's quite handy for Ernie to have literally cow manure just the other side of his fence. So please do make friends with that landowner and try and get as much as you possibly can. I've just found myself a supply of cow manure, hopefully anyway, that I'm hoping to try and use on my own allotment instead of horse manure, because I'm getting a little finding horse manure a little bit too weedy, and I think cow manure is going to be better. But Ernie is saying, I just got distracted, haven't asked a farmer yet, as I was told if I use cow manure, weeds may grow due to the weeds eaten. What do you think? Right, well, it is possible, of course, that weeds may survive going through the digestion system. Cows tend to have several stomachs, so therefore they get digested a bit more. It's less likely, from what I understand and from what people have told me who've used cow manure, less likely to get weeds in cow manure compared to horse manure. However, I've not tested it myself, but I will be looking to find out. But the thing is with cow manure and any manure, you want it to be well rotted down. So you want to put it in your compost bins, first of all, anyway, and get it really well rotted down. So it's really nice and crumbly before you use it anyway. And hopefully that will reduce some of the weeds anyway. However, I wouldn't worry too much about weeds. Give it a try. If you get too many weeds, then stop using it. But that's my thoughts. Excuse me. We'll throw that out there to see if anybody else who out there has any use or any experience in using cow manure. So I saw a few questions coming in during that as well. Charlotte Phipps on Facebook, hope I pronounced your name right. Any tips on growing chard? Mine is looking awfully sad. However, kale is coming on well. So chard, perpetual spinach, or as it may well be known as well, it's generally quite easy to grow, but you say it's looking awfully sad. So what I want to ask is, whereabouts in the country are you, and when did you get it in the ground? I find with growing chard, it's generally quite easy. It does need a bit of chicken manure if it's going to grow, but generally quite easy. I try and get it in the ground to quite early on, sort of August at the latest, in order to provide over the winter. However, there's still time for it to go into the ground if you are in a seedling stage, but you might just have to add a bit of protection if it's a very young plant to help boost it along. I don't find that is necessary, but I also find with the older, the more established plants, chard tends to look after itself, but tends to bolt more in the summer. So, yeah, just let me know whereabouts in the country you are and when you got it in the ground, and I should be able to answer that a bit better. Over on YouTube, Richard from Mike Stevens, this is, do you know anything about lemon rattle? I've heard one story saying you should plant it in bare soil, and another story saying plant it into grass as it suffocates the grass and takes over. Now, to answer that, Turbo Stream has came back and said yellow rattle will weaken the grass, Mike. So my understanding is that it probably will grow in the grass if you put it in the ground. So just scatter the seed over the grass and it probably will do okay. Yellow rattle is a common weed, a natural weed found in this country. So yeah, just scatter it on the ground, water it in. I would try and cover it personally, if you've got grown from seed, that is. Try and cover it to stop any of the birds trying to nibble the seed, because that seems to be a constant problem. So which story is true? Which story is that? I'm a bit lost, sorry. If you don't want rid of the lawn, Mike, plant in the border. Ernie is saying, I'll give it a try. This is about the cow manure, and ask the farmer. Mike Stevens saw chard growing in the wall gardens of Helligan this week, growing very, very well. So Charlotte has came back. She's in Lancashire up north, and put it in the ground end of August. I think it might be slugs or birds. So Lancashire, further up north, end of ground, end of August. So it should have been okay, especially with how mild the weather has been this autumn. So I think you would have been okay, but you might want to just put a bit of fleece or a bit of netting over it. Probably is birds, in all honesty. Birds seem very hungry this year. I've got quite a few out in my garden that are going mad every time I put some seeds out for them. So I reckon it's probably birds. Just put a bit of netting over them, add a bit of chicken manure pellets if you've got that. If you haven't, any sort of high nitrogen feed, maybe even a bit of compost just around the edge. It should be okay. Worst case, throw some fleece over it if it does get cold. I think you'll be okay. What else have we got? So you have to excuse me a bit. I've got a weird pain in my jaw today, so I'm trying to keep going while we're ignoring the pain. It's not toothache because I haven't got a tooth there, so we know that. Let's turn that off. Okay. Charlotte has added she has lots of magpies hanging around, so I think there's a good chance it's a magpies actually. Is this the standard green chard actually, or is it the yellow and the red chard that we can also get hold of? I quite like chard for the different colours it provides as well. It's when you get green, reds, and yellows in the garden, I always think it just looks a bit better and rather interesting than your standard green. Ian Beddoes actually good point. Watched Kiss the Ground yesterday. Didn't realise how easy it could be to repair the planet. So I watched Kiss the Ground the other day as well. Now, if you don't know, Kiss the Ground is it's a documentary film on Netflix, and it's all about how modern agricultural methods have been causing or adding to climate change by releasing all that carbon into the air. But it also went on to say how easy it is to repair the damage that goes on by doing things like no-till gardening, where instead of tilling the garden, we add compost on top, using animals to look after or to eat the waste down as they go along, instead of having big old machinery come along. And it's really quite fascinating watching Kiss the Ground. I'm going to watch it again to go over it, but if anybody out there has watched it, what have you thought of this little movie documentary, and will it make you think more about how you garden? And if you haven't watched it, then go and check it out, because I found it really quite interesting from our perspective, and how we can do our own little bit to help reduce climate change. I know some people out there don't believe in climate change or what have you, but this really did open your eyes up. And you may not believe in climate change, but at the same time, the method of what they're saying, using permaculture techniques and things like that, how we can do that and improve our microclimate and climates around us where we live. Kiss the Ground. Kiss the Ground. Highly recommend it and worth checking it out. A conversation about yellow rattle going on YouTube. Yellow rattle is often sown with other wildflowers when trying a wildflower meadow. The yellow rattle will help weaken the grass so the meadow will establish better. That's from Turbo Stream, and I've never tried. Like I say, I've never tried yellow rattle myself. I've heard of it, but if it does weaken the grass, that explains why it's in quite a few of our wildflower meadow seeds. I'm just looking on the back of this, and it's not in that one. So time to think about that for next time. Have I got any more? I have got more. I've got this one as well with mycorrhizal fungi. Does it have yellow rattle? I can't see any yellow rattle in that one either, but I'll have to have a look at that and find out more, because I do want to get more wild meadows going. Over on Facebook, so Charlotte has said, yeah, lots of magpies hanging around. Thanks for the tip. So I certainly think it's the magpies that are causing the damage to the chard. Stuart Jackson, I want to make a no-dig bed at home. How many layers of cardboard do I need to pot down? Thanks again. You only need really at least one layer of cardboard. That's generally good enough. If you can do 2 or 3, all the better. But you don't want to go too mad, because all the cardboard will eventually rot down. All it's going to do is suppress that lower level of weeds, and then you plant into the compost on top of that, and the roots from the plants that you're growing will work its way through that cardboard eventually anyway. But like I say, the cardboard will rot away, and it's only there to act as a harder layer for any weeds to get through. Ian Beddoes. So Ian Beddoes brought up Kiss the Ground, and he said he started watching it but almost turned it off as it wasn't for him. But after a few minutes, I couldn't leave it alone. I love petrol engines and machinery. And I think there's no denying we can't get away from the petrol engines and machinery at the moment, but we've got to... this planet is he's suffering because of it, I think it's safe to say. Anyway, I don't want to get too ecological friendly, but if anything, what I took away from Kiss the Ground is that no dig is the way forward. I saw a funny meme today actually talking of no dig gardening, and the meme basically suggested that the first caption was, they're at a funeral and the vicar said, does anyone have anything to say? The second caption was somebody piping up and saying, I'm a no digger. I thought it was quite funny, because you do tend to find, and I'm guilty of this, no diggers will tell you they're a no digger, just like a vegan would tell you they're a vegan, because even when you don't ask or anything. And I wonder if that puts people off from no digging, but the fact I think no dig is so popular, but people preach on and battle people about it, and I don't like being preachy, but I do think there's good things from no dig and there's bad things, and people who are more traditional, such as digging over the garden, digging over the ground each year, it's a hard habit to break. But instead of telling them what to do, I believe we've got to go and do it and prove the results, and if anybody asks, then we just say, well, this is what I did and this is how I do it. Here's the evidence that it works. I don't know if anybody else out there has found that with no diggers themselves or anything like that. Mike Stevens, I brought a bag of organic farm manure, but nowhere does it say if it's cow, sheep or anything else. Is there any way to tell, Richard, please? I don't know, in all honesty. I've not seen it myself. My guess is that I see farm manure is probably a mixture of everything that can be found on a farm. So it could be cow, sheep, chicken, anything like that, pigs. And it's probably just there just to, so they don't have to describe exactly what it is or what's going on. That would be my guess. I could be very, very wrong, but that is what I feel on that. Turbo Stream, I'm a no digger. There, I feel better for getting that out. So, very, very true. Now, I have found something for this week's. There we go, that's the one I want. So, this week's news article come from the Hertz Advertiser property. Now, I'm going to share the screen with you so you can see what I'm on about, and hopefully that will make it a bit better for you. So it's 7 strange and unusual vegetables to grow in 2021. There's a lot of adverts in this news article, a lot of adverts. But I do like, well, I was hoping to see that. So, from purple carrots to disease-resistant cucumbers and multicoloured sweet corn, there are plenty of unusual veg out there. Many of the new seeds are now available or will come into stock later this year. For those who want to have everything ready for sowing in January and beyond, here are some of our mouth-watering gems on offer, which will add colour, form and flavour as they grow next year. Chilli chocolate habanero. That picture is not that at all. Added heat and colour to a plethora of dishes. This chilli, also known as Congo Black, originated in Jamaica and is a great addition to jerk sauce thanks to its smoky flavour. Sow indoors in a propagator from mid-January, planting out when all danger of frost is past in late May or June. Preferably in a really sheltered sunny spot or keeping it under glass, and it will make a perfect patio addition ready to harvest from August onwards. Daikon Radish Minstrel Rose Flesh. Daikon Radish is part of this month's Seed Supporters Club. These huge radishes really are the eye candy of the radish family. They are brilliant for slicing because they reveal a deep red flesh when you cut through the outer white layer. So there was a picture I saw which that is Daikon Radish. Also known as watermelon radish, these peppery and crisp bite makes a great addition to salads and stir fries, or just use them as a garnish to starters because they look as good as they taste. Try growing them with mint to deter flea beetle. I'll be worried about the mint taking over, in all honesty. Luffa Seeds. Now this is something I'm going to try next year actually. I've got some seeds coming in. Gonna sow those and try and grow my own loofah, which is this photo just here. Basically, you can make our own or grow our own sponge to use in a bath. So it's finally here, the vegetable that you can eat or scrub your back with, also known as the sponge gourd. They are a bit like a climbing courgette, and you would cook them in the same way you would cook courgettes. If you thought a loofah came from the sea, think again, as they come from this plant, providing the eco-friendly pan scourer or bath sponge coming from the cucumber family, where they will indeed grow in a greenhouse. What's next on this list? Cucumber Party Time, Burpee Europe. If you like snacking on cucumbers, this is one of the most prolific snack cucumbers with an outstanding level of resistance to powdery and downy mildew. Okay. And Afghan purple carrot, which that must be that one. That's interesting. I wonder if it's purple right throughout, unlike the ones that I grew this year that were purple through. This purple colour is eye-catching enough, but when you slice them, they reveal a bright yellow core. Oh, yellow on the inside answers that. From Garden Organic, purple carrots are believed to have been depicted on Egyptian cave paintings. Sweet corn, rainbow sweet Inca. Hopefully kids will want to try this strange-looking variety with its kernels of yellow, red, and purple and blue. Developed in the 1970s. Okay. I'm trying to not read everything out. French beans, blue beans. Imagine serving your guests some deep purple beans with their dinner. It would certainly be a conversation starter. These climbing French beans, which were brought to the UK from France at the end of World War II, are a compact climber thought to be frost resistant. So, which one is it? That one. Lots of ideas for something a bit unusual to grow next year. Like I said, I'm certainly thinking of growing the Loofah next year because I want to give that a try. I like the idea of the Daikon Radish because I'm growing Daikon Radish this year anyway. And the sweet corn and the French beans and the carrots all sound rather interesting. But is there out there, to anybody else out there, anything that you're growing differently or plan to grow next year that's going to be a bit different, something a bit out there? Now, of course, phone line is open if you do want to call in 07307 135 174. Right, I'll start on Facebook comments. Ian Beddoes, I never heard of no dig until I started listening to your advice. Following on, should I place some cardboard on my raised beds before adding a new layer? I would. That's what I try and do. Not always that easy, but I certainly think it just helps. It just helps suppress those weeds, even though it will rot down and eventually get rid of itself. And Ian Beddoes thought loofah came from under the sea as well. Well, there you go. I've just proved that you can grow your own loofah in your own garden, in your greenhouse, as something a bit unusual. And also, they are edible when harvested wrong. That sounds likely. Thanks, Richard. It should do. Oh, they're talking about the farm manure. Yes, but I'm hoping we won't introduce couchgrass turbo. If it's sold farm manure, it's probably mass produced, so it's probably burnt out anything like that. Mint does take over from Mike Stevens. It certainly does. That's why I always grow it in a pot, because it's so much, well, it will clean out anything else in your garden. Pot is the way to go with mint. What website is that, please? That was from the... I've added a link in the description, if that helps, but it was the Hertz Advertiser. I think it's a property magazine, so not the typical thing I expected to get some gardening news from, but it worked nonetheless. Turbo Stream, if it's a commercial bag, Mike, then you will be okay. I brought some and it was fine. Was it a Groshaw band? And he also says, I grew purple French beans this year. They revert to green when you cook them. Well, I found that actually I grew some purple potatoes and some purple carrots. And I've got to say, when we cooked them, or when we put them in the, or even when, well, the carrots, when we cut them, they were on the inside, just looked like a normal carrot. They were that still orange colour. And even when we peeled the outer skin, excuse me, I've got hiccups now, peeled the outer skin, it was also orange. So it was a bit like they were a novelty item, but they tasted good. Nothing against how they tasted. What variety was that? I think it was something like Cosmic Purple that I grew. I don't think I'll be growing that variety again. Germination was absolute crap, in all honesty, as well. The purple potatoes, which I've grown for a couple of years, some were only purple on the skin, but I've had a few that are purple right through. And when they're purple right through, I've actually really enjoyed them because they're something a bit different. Roasted them up on our Sunday roast, and having that different colour, that different look, was something really quite interesting, I thought, and really quite tasty. Yeah. So yeah, I'm certainly thinking all these different colours and this different foods and everything else goes a long way to grow lots of great stuff. As we said with chard earlier, the different colours of chard just add to some great looking stuff. Now, I'm trying to think, I do have a new video from the photos to share with you, but I haven't realised that I've swapped it over in time. So I'm gonna throw it up, but it'll be a bit disjointed. Well, it's time to take another look at all the photos that I have been sent or posted in the Veg Grower Podcast Facebook group. First, well, it's time to take another look at the photos that I have received here at the Veg Grower Podcast. Firstly, Fiona Cooper has been busy making green tomato chutney from all the green tomatoes left on her tomato plants in her garden. Gotta say, what I love about green tomato chutney is it's a great way of using up some of those green tomatoes that may not be used in most circumstances. Next, Dirk has been given this from a neighbour. What a sight. Beautiful does that look. Very, very tasty looking. came up with a way using an ice cream scoop to scoop out the flesh and in order to freeze down 33 cups of flesh. What a great idea as well. Dirk's also been busy turning all these apples into apple sauce. Another recipe I absolutely love and can't wait to try my own apple sauce. Stuart Jackson has emptied his compost bin and is really impressed with the results. Made in just 6 months' time after listening to my podcast on the subject. He's chopped it up very small and turned it regularly, and this has been the results. He's also shared a few pictures from his veg patch with lettuce, spinach, cabbage and lemongrass all doing its own thing. And finally, been busy harvesting this lot of food from his allotment. Another fantastic haul just coming in. He says it's been the best year that he has produced so far. Well, that is it for this week. Share your photos with me. You can email me, richard@veggrower, or you can leave them in the Facebook group. Just search for the Veg Grower. Next time, please take care. So some great photos coming in from there. Keep posting your photos, keep sending them to me. I absolutely love looking at them. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on over on Facebook. Hopefully everything's working okay, because it suddenly looks a bit like something's gone wrong, as if the something's stolen my internet. Hopefully it's not the wife on the internet. I'm sure she's came off it because she always does. 07307135174 if you want to call in and discuss more of this fantastic vegetable gardening side that we are into. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that I have been building a brand new shed, and that's something I've had in the pipeline for a while, when somebody kind of gave me the kick up the arse to do it. It'll be a brand new podding shed. We'll be out of this shed when it is eventually built, which I'm hoping to get ready for 2021. Maybe sooner, we'll see. But my shed, it's 8 foot by 8 foot, pent, built from scratch. So it's not a brought in shed, and it's going to be built, or it is built from much thicker wood. Rather than, I don't know if you can see it on camera, you know, this is a sort of thickness that many of our sheds seem to come in. Wooden sheds seem to come in this size. I'm just going to check. I can see it's struggling on Facebook, the stream again. I don't know why. So yes, this is the thickness of the wood that seems most sheds are made from, which I find to be rather flimsy. So my shed that I'm building, it's made out of 33mm by 63mm. So it's going to be about 3 times as thick as this. It's going to be made from solid wood. It's going to be stronger as anything, and it's going to have a cladding on the outside, and it's going to do. I'm looking forward to it. But what I'm setting it up on the inside is that I'm trying to think. There's a thing whenever we have a shed, we always try and get as big as we can get, but it never seems big enough. Always need a bigger shed, don't we? No matter what we do, a bigger shed is really what we require. God, I can really see that stream struggling on Facebook. I don't know what it's like over on YouTube. So here's my question. What should always be in a shed? What few things should be in a potting shed? I think spade, fork. I was buffering on YouTube tonight as well. Okay, I'm having a lot of internet problems again. I can't believe this. Why is my internet so buffering? Anyway, yeah, tools are going to set it up. I'll worry about this next week. I'll get this going next time. Ian Bellows, as you know, my grandkids love picking and eating the peas I grow. What's the earliest I can plant them in the greenhouse for an early crop? You can plant them right. Ian, you can plant them right now, and they will. Oh, this buffering is doing my head in. Are you on the internet, dear? Am I going? I can't work it out. It's buffering. It's driving me mad. Yeah, you can sow peas right now if you go to your or Feltham first, and they sow those in a greenhouse. They'll grow and they'll give you an early crop, probably April if you're lucky. May time is more than likely when you're going to get peas if you sow them now. So I reckon it's well worth doing, and I'm doing it myself. I've got swell last weekend, and we'll make the most out of it. Mike Stevens, have you ever grown catmint? I've tried twice, but my cats destroy it. Should I pot a cover around it, Richard, please? I've never grown catmint, in all honesty. I thought about it once, but I don't really want to attract cats anymore because it drives me mad. But yeah, catmint. I believe it's related to mint, but I'm not sure. Keep going, it might improve. I'm hoping it will improve because I don't know what's going on. It drives me mad, this internet. Weirdly, when I done the live with Lee the other day, we had no problems, although that was using different software, which I might start looking into with StreamYard, where I'll stream to them instead, so it might be better. I don't know. But I've never had it interrupt as much as what I'm seeing tonight. Anyway, well, we'll keep going till 7 o'clock, then we'll close down. So we've got about 7 minutes to go. We're going to do our best. We'll try and beat the buffer in. So 7 minutes to go. If you want to call in 07307135174. Fingers crossed we can make it last because it drives me mad. Yeah, what was I saying? Something I was going to discuss. I went to a garden show yesterday. Now, this garden show was fairly local to me. Usually it's on around April time, but obviously this year it didn't go ahead. But they managed to do it, this weekend. Now, I was only found out about it because somebody I know had a stall there and put a picture up. So I went along. Wasn't too badly priced, actually, £8 each. So it wasn't too expensive to get in. And I kind of wanted to show my support for these shows because they have struggled this year, and hopefully next year they will come back a bit better. But they need support, otherwise they won't survive. So I thought I'll go and do my support, and fingers crossed it worked. Now, my complaint, I don't want to say complaint, I'm being a bit unfriendly about that. My trouble I had with it was that as a garden show, there was only about 60% of it that was garden related stuff. There was several stalls out there. There was art and crafts, so jewellery, a lot of that going on. There was a stall selling beds and a stall selling holidays. Was that necessarily a garden show? I don't know. But just to go along and show some support of it. Just watching this thing go mad, it's driving me insane. So yeah, I thought I'd go and show my support for it, and we'll see what happens. But I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the show. If anybody else has been out there and seen what it's like, or been to a garden show this year, have you had much experience with it? What were your thoughts on it? I found it interesting. It was good to get to a garden show though. I brought a hosta, which I do quite enjoy hostas, and they're perfect to grow along my shady side of my garden. Hostas are edible, which makes them perfect in my garden as well. The bit rate is as low as it can go. Something has. Hang on, let's just have a quick look. Output. Yeah, I can't change it while I'm going on this one. Yeah. Out of reach is not possible. Yeah, right. So I can't. So yeah, I went to this garden show anyway, and I'll probably have to discuss this again because I don't think this is working. I'm going to get ready to close up in a second. Turbo Stream, not growing mint, Mike. Can only suggest you plant the pot out of reach from the cat. It's called cat mint for a reason. Mike Stevens came back. It's not possible. Out of reach is not possible. Cats will get it if they want it. I think that's certainly true. You know what? Because of all the troubles I'm having, and it's, I don't know what's going on. I've just dropped out again. So I think I'm going to close up for this week and try again next time while I figure out what's going on. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope it's not been too difficult, but I'll try again next week with better internet, if I can get better internet. So until then, please take care. Monday, there'll be podcasts coming out on not as normal when I'm going to be planting out my garlic cloves. And I've still got this week off, and I'll be back again, building more things, chatting again here in the potting shed. Until next time, please take